Hi, my name is Todd Vasquez. I am the Environmental Resources Division MRF Manager for the City of Oxnard. Today we just completed our first Zero Waste Action Plan workshop, and we're just adjourning. Today we had MRF tours and some educational instruction by Dr. Eugene Tseng, the city's consultant in this process. And people after the MRF tour were put into workshops to discuss what they believe is important for including into the Zero Waste Action Plan that will go to Council estimated in May. This document is important to the city in helping us develop how we're going to do education and outreach and increase our recyclables and diversion and reduce the amount of waste that we send to the landfill. Also discusses new opportunities for diversion and recycling that the city will be taking advantage of. So that's basically what happened here today, and I hope that you learn more about the MRF facility here, and have those of you who have interest in it, please contact us so that we can make sure that you get a tour or answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Daniel Rydberg. I'm the Capital Projects Manager for the City of Oxnard, and I'm very excited. Today we had our first kickoff meeting for the Zero Waste Workshop, and we had a lot of good input from the residents of the city, and I'm excited to be working on this project and working towards reducing our solid waste from landfills and increasing recyclables as much as possible. And I think with the support of the residents of Oxnard, we'll be able to do this over the next couple of years.
Hi, my name is Eugene Tseng. I'm an engineering professor and a law professor at UCLA. I've been asked to help put together this workshop, stakeholder workshops for the city of Oxnard, to try to get the input from the local community on what the future of solid waste management should be in the city of Oxnard. One of the really outstanding things is we actually had a lot of attendees, and we were able to get what we would call the guiding principles, which is the core values of the community, and make sure that those guiding principles are adhered to in putting together the goals and the vision for the future of solid waste management in the city of Oxnard.
Hello, my name is Sister Suzanne Soppe from Dignity Health St. John's Regional Medical Center in Oxnard. And I am a chair of the Ecology Committee at our hospitals. Dignity Health is very committed to environmental sustainability, and it is part of our value of good stewardship. We want to contribute to the health of our community by doing everything possible at our hospital to reduce, reuse, and recycle. To give you some examples, right now we work with the City of Oxnard in a pilot project to, the City of Oxnard collects all of our waste, food waste that is, and then it is turned into composting, and we are one of 2 businesses in the community that are doing this with the City of Oxnard. Also, our hospitals are recycling the normal things such as cans, bottles, cardboard, aluminum, blue wrap, wood, electronics. This past year, we decided to purchase all paper products for our cafeterias rather than styrofoam. We also follow the California regulations for all medical waste disposal, and we are in the process as well to examine our greenhouse gas and ways to reduce that throughout the facility. How can we assist the City of Oxnard in this process? Well, I hope to be part of the Community Planning Committee for their long-range plan for zero waste, and that is what Dignity Health St. John's Regional Medical Center is also committed to, zero waste.
Hi, my name is Cecilia Ortega, and I'm a resident here in Oxnard. And I've come to this waste management program today, and I have never been more impressed and excited. Right now at home, we really do as much as we can to recycle our wastes. We have our recycle and our non-recyclable bins, and we also have a compost bin. So all of the food that we use goes into our compost, which then goes into our garden, and we oftentimes grow vegetables and food that we can consume ourselves and then just reuse. This program has been so exciting to me because it talks about how we can keep our waste material and recycle it right here in Oxnard. That's so exciting to me. Somebody one time said, well, you know, if you have waste, you just throw it away. And then they said, but where is away? If we would know that away was right here in Oxnard and that we could have perhaps a community center that ran on and was fueled by the waste materials that we throw out on a daily basis, it would not only remind us that we do have waste material, but that it's right here in Oxnard and we can use it properly. So I just have such high hopes for the city of Oxnard, and perhaps we can be an example for other cities to do the same thing.
Hi, my name is Maria Johnson. I'm a UCLA student for Dr. Sang. I'm very happy to have come here. It really ties into the lessons that he's been teaching us in the solid waste management courses. I'm really very proud of the city of Oxnard for being very forward-thinking. You have a beautiful MRF facility here, but I know that this will take it to the next level. And I wish the city of Oxnard and all its residents all the best as they move forward with their solid waste management challenges.
Hello, my name is Kenny Miyagi from Japan. I work for JFE Engineering. We are here, it's been about 2 years. We are in waste to energy business, and we have been in this business for over 40 years, and we are here to see what we can do to the U.S. communities to help solve their problems in waste management. And coming from Japan, because we have been doing this for so many years, then I am very excited to be here today just to see how the public hearing, is being held, and to hear, their opinions. And I felt a lot of enthusiasm in this room today. And waste management is a very huge project. Every public needs to be involved because every person generates their own waste. So it is very important for public to involve in this project. Waste management start out from household level. Over in Japan, we have gone through a lot of education process to achieve our goal, and we segregate it into over 10 items when we generate our waste. And all the waste, or different type of waste has been collected on a certain day so that our diversion rate increases. So it takes so much of a public effort, and also city officials, industrial leaders to get involved to achieve the waste management goal. So I'm here, I was so excited to be here just to see how the city of Oxnard is working hard to meet their goals, to achieve their project.
Just you and I get together. All right.
Good morning.
Buenos dias. Before we start, if you need interpretation, it is available. Si necesita la traducción, tenemos auriculares para usar aquí. Cualquier. All right. My name's Todd Vasquez. I'm the I'm an engineer right now. Environmental Resources MRF Manager for the City of Oxnard, and I want to welcome you all to this kickoff event for the Zero Waste Action Plan, which will eventually go to Council for approval and translate into a lot of improvements in how we manage our waste stream here in the City of Oxnard. So right now, I'd like to introduce my director for the Environmental Resources Division, Mr. Robert Shawnee's out here in the audience. And I'm going to turn this over this time to Mr. Dan Ryberg. He's the Capital Projects Manager for the Public Works Division and their department, and he's going to go into more detail on this process and in general the master planning process for the Public Works Department. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, everyone. We have a really good turnout. A lot of times we end up with more staff than we do residents and participants, so it's good. Let me just quickly talk about the master planning process. So typically when cities plan, they'll start with a general plan, and that is sort of a broad level goals and objectives for the entire city. Everything from police, fire, solid waste, transportation, everything you can think of. That is updated usually every, maybe 10 years, sometimes 5 years, and it's usually a 20 to a 30-year process. So our 2030 general plan was just approved 2 years ago. That kicked off the Public Works task of updating all of our master plans. The Public Works master plans, there's actually a number of them. We're reducing and consolidating a number, but there are a number of different plans from wastewater, water, environmental resources, storm drains, a number of different plans that need to be updated. Last year we started that process of updating those plans, and this month we're taking off the final push at completing those plans and updating them for the next 15 years or so. This workshop is part of the Zero Waste Plan, which will be rolled into the Environmental Resources Master Plan. This plan in this process, will develop the programs and the requirements to meet state regulations. So the purpose of the meeting here is to get resident issues and concerns related to the general plan and regulations, and to set goals and objectives for how we'll meet those programs. So generally in meeting regulations, there's usually more than one way. And I think the reason why we want input from the community is to figure out what's the best way to implement programs to meet these regulations and requirements within our own community. So that's the purpose of the meeting of this process. So with that said, I'll just quickly talk about the outline. You should have an outline. If not, you can just raise your hand and we can get you. There is an outline and then of the agenda, and also an outline of the Zero Waste Plan that we came in. So first, we're going to talk about really just what we've been doing over the last 10 years or more as the regulations in California increase to reduce materials going to landfill. Then we're going to talk about sort of existing, but more importantly, future mandates from the state. So over the years, the goals have been even higher in terms of reducing the amount of materials going to landfill, increasing recyclables, those types of things. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Then we're going to have a tour of the facility and talk about where we are at the facility. This facility is about 15, 16 years old. At the time it was a state-of-the-art facility. It's still a very good and pretty modern facility, but part of our process will be looking at how we can improve the facility, or the equipment in there is a little bit tired, it needs to be replaced. So we'll look at what type of equipment we want to replace it with to again meet those goals and objectives and regulations. Then after the tour, we're going to talk a little bit about best management practices. So throughout the United States as well as throughout the world, what are other organizations doing to reduce landfill and to increase reuse? And then finally, we'll just talk a little bit about what typical zero waste plans are. So I know locally Santa Monica, Los Angeles, they've developed very nice zero waste plans recently. So we'll take a look at those and give you an idea of what our product will look like at the end. And then finally, we're going to just talk about the next steps and talk about the process of getting from here to our final plan. So with that said, unless there's any quick questions or comments yet. Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you. Calgary Recycle Board member, former Calgary Recycle Board member, so that's nominated by our former governor, the governor there, I guess. So he did. Nice, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Then we're going to have our Trish Honigsberg's going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing over the past decade or so. Thank you.
I am Trish Honigsberg, and I'm an outreach and education specialist here at the City of Oxnard. I have about 20 years experience in recycling. So I'd just like to take a couple of minutes to hit on some points regarding California Integrated Waste Management Bill 939, or as the government likes to shorten it to, AB 939. This bill was implemented in 1990 and basically said that every city in California has to divert at least 50% of their waste by the year 2000. And the reason that this is so important is because a city, if they didn't meet that goal, could be fined up to $10,000 per day. And I'm proud to say that the city of Oxnard has accomplished that. We have actually reached a goal of 73% conversion rate. So I think Barb is actually going to take it from here and talk a little bit about where we're going.
Hi, Barbara Wolf, City of Oxnard Outreach and Education Specialist. And as was just mentioned, we have a 73% diversion rate. And that can be attributed to many different programs, waste reduction, recycling, and our education outreach. In fact, the city is required to report these programs to the state annually. And as of the last reporting period, the city had a total of 44 different programs which are monitored by the state. Some of these programs are familiar to some of our residents and big businesses that are here. You have the curbside recycling program, yard waste collection. Another program that we offer is the e-waste and computer recycling that we hear that here at Del Norte, so maybe we use that program. And a critical component of all this is the education. And if you'd like to find out more information about these programs and the outreach, we do have some samples over here on the table for you. Now, even with the availability of all these programs, there is still a lot of trash going to the landfill. Our current landfill disposal rate is over 200,000 tons a year. That's a lot of trash. Okay, that might be kind of hard to imagine. So you can think about this. That's 1.13 tons of trash per person per year. And if you still think that's hard to picture, you're in luck today because we've set aside a pile of trash and have it out so you can see what you are generating each year in trash. And if that's not enough reason for us to reduce waste and recycle more, there is another important reason, and that is that the state has new requirements, and Eugene Singh is going to talk about that.
If you're wondering why my students are here, they really want to graduate, so they volunteer. I'm actually a law professor and an engineering. I'm a law professor and an engineering professor at UCLA and a couple other universities. It basically boils down to my wife calls me an overeducated garbage man. One of the most important things that the city has to do, it's actually driven by the law. So what I want to just discuss with you a few minutes before we go on the tour what are the new requirements that are being required of the city and of the residents and of businesses. Pretty much everything goes back to this piece of legislation called AB 32. It is the California Global Warming Solutions Act. Whether you believe in global warming or not, whether it's man-made or it's cycles of nature, it doesn't matter. It's now it's like the policy basis for a lot of the legislation in the state. And I'm going to talk about two pieces of legislation. One's already passed and took effect in 2012. That is, we call that, in the industry, we call that AB 341. But it's also known as the Mandatory Commercial Recycling Act. And then there's a new proposed programs which is going to be focusing on reducing greenhouse gases, and that is probably the most significant. And we'll discuss that too. When we say, well, what does solid waste management, what does recycling have to do with greenhouse gases, is anytime you put anything in a landfill, anything that's organic will basically decompose and create greenhouse gases. And landfills are one of the largest stationary sources of greenhouse gas. And so in other countries, they pretty much began phasing out landfills to reduce the amount of greenhouse gas. So this is a lot of busy slide, but this is actually copied right off of the state's website. So I'm going to try to describe what this law means in English. What it requires as of July of 2012 is that every business, if you have 4 or more cubic yards of trash a week, or if you're an apartment building or a condo, that if you have, if it's 5 or more units, you basically have to have a recycling program. So it can either be what we call a source separated program, which means that you separate the recyclables. You can contract with a recycler yourself, or you can take it to a recycler yourself, or you can subscribe to the haulers program, which means since the city is the collector of the recyclables and the trash, you can actually use the city's program, or you can arrange for pickup from an independent third party if you want to sell it. So that's one aspect for businesses, and for apartment buildings is you have to set up a source separating program. Next. But you do have an alternative. If you don't have the space, you don't have the resources, you can actually send it to a materials recovery facility, which means this facility. And this facility basically has to recover the amount of recyclables that is equivalent to what would have been a source separated program had you done it at your location of generation. And we don't know what these performance standards are right now. They're actually in development. So this is part of the challenge of this facility, is trying to upgrade this facility to meet a standard that hasn't been quite written yet. So this is one of the most significant impacts on the city, is that this program has to be implemented. And the second one goes to AB 32. Now, this is really significant because this is the key recommendation, and there are actually dates in there. So if you can read that, just read that in a minute. I will try to explain to you, and I highlighted in bold. Basically, it's saying that we're going to try to phase the disposal of organics out of landfills. This is the approach that's been done in Europe and Japan. What that means in real life is that you cannot throw food away, you cannot throw paper away, no diapers, no yard waste, no dog poop, nothing that's going to be able to create greenhouse gases. So what does that boil down to? Well, it means that you, as a generator of these materials, you either have to recycle it. A lot of these materials, like dog food, really doesn't have a market to sell. So that's going to basically end up in real life at this facility. And this facility will have to remove that before it can send the trash to the landfill. So you can see that the requirements, that was dated 2016 to take effect, that there's a lot of things that has to be done in the city, production programs and infrastructure upgrades to meet these requirements. And as any legal requirement, the way we look at it is this is a minimum requirement. And locally, what we want to be able to hear from you is what's the best path to achieve these requirements set by the state. So I would like to turn it over to Todd again and to talk about an overview of this facility and actually organize, get you started on a good tour of this facility so you can see what this facility does now and try to figure out what we have to be able to do in the future.
Great. Is everybody still with us? Looks like it. All right. On February 1st, the city of Oxnard began direct operations of the Del Norte facility for the first time since 1996 when it was built. And it's been 3 weeks and it's actually exceeded our expectations. We now have direct control of our waste stream from the curb all the way to the landfill, and we have agreements with the landfill for long terms to help us maintain the prices and the cost of the ratepayer. So we're doing this. It's a lot better results than what we thought. We're getting better diversion. We're getting increased recyclables, and we're dialing in the safety programs and everything else that happens out there. So it's a bit different of a facility out there than it was a month ago, which is a lot to say about the team that put this project together. What we're going to do in this tour is take you to a few stations outside to show you different elements of the operation. Excuse me. There is a diagram on the wall here that shows the general facility, and we're going to do a clockwise tour around the outside. So we'll be going outside, but you'll be able to look in and see what's happening. And our first stop will be the Buyback Center. And that's where we receive CRV recyclables. Those are the California redemption value bottles, the red truck. There you go. The California redemption value containers. And we have scales and containers in there to weigh and to pay people out for the pounds that they bring. These are generally people who collect things at home in their own kitchen, and after a month they come and bring their recyclables. We also take household hazardous waste, where Eugene is pointing right now. That includes batteries, used oil filters, old fluorescent lights. If you have a question, if anything can be received here, we do have a website, and you're always welcome to call the 805-385-8060, and we can answer a direct question before you waste a lot of fuel coming down here and finding out we can't take it. Just to the left of that, you'll see the back end of a truck going into a tunnel. We're going to walk over the tunnel, so if any of you have fear of heights, we need to know that before we go over there, because it can be a little problematic if you do. But those trucks drive under to the two ports on the inside there, and they're loaded. They line up exactly with those ports. The size of the port's the exact size of the vehicle, and we push the waste that is going to the landfill into there. We also put recyclables into there, wood, green waste, and other items that we're now sorting out that weren't getting sorted out of the waste stream. So our waste looks a lot different than it did a month ago and before. We're able to compact more waste and send trucks out of here at about 22 to 23 tons instead of the 19.5 ton average that we were getting before, all because of compaction and characterization of the waste. What that translates to is 8 truck trips that used to happen, we're only sending 7 trucks on the road. So that doesn't sound like a lot right away, but calculate that over a year and you can see the carbon footprint that's reduced, the reduction in shipping costs, and the increase in compaction at the landfill itself so that the landfill lasts longer. California isn't going to open another landfill probably ever again, so that's important. If we go around the corner a bit where the blue truck is, that's what we call the self-haul. So if you have cleaned your garage out or you are tidying up your backyard or something like that, this is where you would bring the waste and unload it with the assistance of our spotters and sorters. This is the area that we've seen the most improvement because all the loads are being sifted through now for anything that is either saleable or divertible. And we are getting 15 to 20 tons per day out of the self-haul floor, which before they were averaging right around 1.5 tons. So we've really applied a lot more attention to that, and it is paying back. It's not on there, but we'll look at the scale house. Well, actually it is up at the very top. That's the scale house, and when you come in here, whether you're a resident or a company, everything is weighed when you come in, and it's weighed when you go out so that we know how to charge. And also, our computer system keeps track of all the tonnages that come in here and come out, and allows us to calculate all of our necessary reporting to the state and tell us what we need to do better as far as diversion or recyclables, because we know how much tonnage is coming in, we know how we process it, and we know what tonnage is leaving and what that commodity is. So we get reports. We can run them daily if we want. So it's immediate information. It's a very good tool in running this facility. We'll walk around the other corner, and we're going to look inside to the MRF area through one of the big doors, and you'll see the machinery. So it's a good time for you to be here today. Usually on a Saturday, we don't operate because we only process during the week unless we have excessive material and need to run an overtime shift. But with the holiday last Monday, we are operating today because the week is shifted forward one day. So you will be able to see the sorters in action and all of the equipment and machinery. We'll be able to answer any questions that you might have with what's going on out there. And it is kind of loud, not so loud that it's going to cause hearing damage, but if I don't hear you ask a question or something, or the tour guide, just feel free to tap them on the shoulder. They'll be happy to answer your question. We're going to go a little bit further then to the far corner where there's that trash truck that is leaving. And we'll look inside of those big doors. We have material piles there of recyclables that have not yet been processed. So you'll see what it looks like prior to going into the processing machinery versus what you've seen in the cubes at the far left, which is finished material. Those are all the different commodities, aluminum being the most significant in my opinion. It's worth the most. In fact, the price just went up this week, so we watch that all the time too. And then our final turn will bring us to where there's a truck exiting at the bottom right there, just behind the camera, Eugene, a little bit down. Okay, right around, yeah, right there. In that area is where we have the trash pile that shows what each one of you generate in waste every year. So this is a good tool for people who are unfamiliar with the process to see really what you're generating as a waste generator as an individual. So you'll be able to look at that. Feel free to walk around. We moved it out of the way so that we're not in the way of any trucks or anything, but we still want, it's an active facility. We are operating today, so make sure your head's on a swivel and looking around. If you have any reservations about going on a tour or anything like that, we do have the ability to look into the MRF through, if you walk up the stairs here, there's a viewing platform. You are welcome to go up on the viewing platform. It'll give you an overview of the most of the entire facility. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to see the MRF processing equipment because there's a large concrete wall there that divides the facility in half to help with materials management. If you have any questions on any of the types of equipment we operate, again, feel free to ask. After we look at the waste pile, we'll come back in here, and the city court people are going to help collect your protective equipment, and we need to have that back. That's pretty much the operation, and that's what's going to be involved with the tour. Anything that has to do with regulatory compliance, that's all done in this office. So we're glad you're here, and I think it's going to be a nice tool to have you see this facility in operation so that you understand the waste stream a little bit better.
Thank you, sir. There's no liner.
We just stick together.
Okay, we're first going to go, again, it's going to be a clockwise tour. We're at the main entrance here. If at any time there's any sort of emergency or anything, you want to be maneuvering away from the facility, and watching for vehicles in the process. We don't expect anything, but I always like to have everybody knowing what to do in case something does happen. So, again, at any time as I'm going through, I'd ask you to raise your hand if you have a question. That way I can see you and provide more detail. And with that, we're going to start with the Buyback Center, which is about 100 yards this way. Follow me. Okay, this is the first stop. This is the Buyback Center. We affectionately call it the ABOC, and that has something to do with buyback, something is something, but that's what we call it. This is on the right door here. This is where the material is brought and weighed, and you're paid either on the weight account. California, state of California has laws that are very specific on how we weigh and how we pay our customers. On January 1st of this year, even more stricter rules were implemented. These are the containers that in the city of Oxnard, if you are a ratepayer, we give out free oil containers if you do your own oil changes. These are the containers that we can receive the oil filters in. Bring those back here, we recycle them. And we also have free funnels to help keep you from spilling the oil at all. Once you get through this door, there are a lot of moving vehicles and things, and you keep your head looking around, and we've notified the staff that we're going to be here, so we're all going to look out for each other. About 110 people. On the MRF side, you're looking between 43 and 50, depending upon what material we're running. That's every day.
A follow question on that. What kind of protection do you offer for your employees?
Helmet, glasses, vest, gloves. If you're a sorter, we have masks. They have to wear masks. The sorters have special needle-proof gloves, and they also have sleeves that they have to wear. So they're protected as much as possible to ensure that they're not getting cut or contaminated.
Thank you.
Okay, just kind of a little bit behind you there, you'll see the door numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Under the former operator, they only had a couple of these doors open and it kind of backed up. We've rearranged things in there so that all doors are available and we can get people in and out of here quicker. If you see all of these containers, the purpose of those containers are to take the recyclables and the divertibles out of the loads that people are bringing in here so that we can have a place for them. We move those back and forth all day long, and that helps us keep the tonnage up off of the sort floor. Again, we're getting 14 to 20 tons a day of recyclables and divertibles in a section that used to get maybe 1,000 to 2,000 pounds a day. Over here, you'll see pallets. We sort out the pallets and we sell pallets. So there's a money maker there. Mattresses used to cost us about, it cost us through a company $6 per mattress to receive that and to ship it out and to have it recycled. We now don't pay anything to dispose of the mattresses, but we have to pay for the trucking. So we use our fleet, which are the vehicles you see behind you there, and the vehicles that are parked far over there. We ship the mattresses as we get enough. So that's another way to diversify our fleet and be able to control something that was in somebody else's control before. The mattresses, I'm very interested in the mattresses because they're almost 100% recycled. The fabric on the outside is ground up and it's made into carpet foam. The metal is pulled out and recycled, and the wood is ground up and recycled for wood pulp products. So a mattress is almost 100% recyclable, unless you get one of those fancy ones that have other working parts and things in them. So you're looking at something there that can 100% of the time almost be turned into something else. Yes, sir.
How do they take apart?
There's part of it's done by hand, and most of it's done by machinery for separation, and magnets to pull the metal out.
So they go through shredders?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
What's the mist coming out from the top of there?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What's the mist that you see coming out of the top of there?
Okay, the mist that you see in there coming out of the hoses, that's dust suppression and odor suppression. The air, the moisture gets into the air and helps settle the dust quicker and keep the dust from coming out, keep the dust from affecting the workers and the public, and to help keep the odors down. You'll also know an abundance of birds out here. That's an ongoing problem. We have a falcon come in 3 times a week, and the falcon soars around and it helps scare the birds away. When the falcon's not here, the absolute favorite part of my job, I don't shoot birds, but this does cause noise and help scare the birds away. So when I'm out here, that's why I carry it with me. When I'm out here, it's just something second nature to do as part of my job to help scare the birds away. We don't want to kill them, we just want to make sure that they don't stay here and find a home on our trash. The green containers are the e-waste. That's anything with a plug on it. So if you have a TV, an old blender, anything like that, you bring that in here, we separate it out, and then that gets shipped out and recycled. Actually, they get gold and silver out of them. They get other metals, and the plastic is also recycled as well. When we get a full load, we call the company that we work with. They come pick it up and it's processed into the various products that they turn it into. Just another example of implementing best management practices. We take refrigerators and stoves and things like that. And anyway, we're going to move around to the other side of the facility where we can look in at the MRF equipment. Real quick, this is the scale house where I mentioned where everybody gets weighed in and weighed out. We also check for radiation in each load, and that's what those yellow devices there check each code for any sort of radiation. Every now and then we find contaminated material that comes from medical waste. It's very low level, but the landfill can't accept it. So we want to find it here so we can send it back to the person who generated it.
Hi, my name is Ramon Leiva. We're residents of the city of Oxnard. We're just cleaning up a room addition that we did here. It's great that the city has, took over for the revenue and for, more economical value to the city. Okay, and it's great that all this is happening. Okay, proud for their Oxnard. Okay, thank you.
So this is the equipment you see back in there is the MRF operating equipment. That buzzer means that somebody is working on a piece of the machinery, which is during this right now is their lunch break. So they're not sorting, but that alarm makes sure that somebody knows that somebody's inside the system, and it helps prevent injury and ensure that we're following our safety protocol. Just a couple of quick things. If you see the black items there in bundles sticking up, that is agricultural film and agricultural tape that they use for drip systems. We used to have that stuff lined up out here. There was no market for it. And just to tell you how the market can change overnight, almost from 1 week to the next, that was being landfilled because there was no home for it. And now we have 100% of it being sent to a buyer, and it's recycled. So we have to keep very good measure on the market because things change so quickly, and that means we have to change our operations here quickly to make sure that we're keeping up with making sure the enterprise fund is solvent. Do you have a question over here? Yeah. What is that being used for? In agricultural fields, after it leaves the machinery. Oh yeah. They clean it and they grind it up and they make all kinds of plastic products out of it. They make fabric fibers. Yeah, it goes into all kinds of products. Toys, other things.
How far does it travel to get to that level?
Actually, the ag tape, it gets cleaned here in California at a facility, and then it has to go to China or Vietnam or India on a ship. So we want our products to leave here clean and with good quality, because if it gets to the location and it's not clean, they can refuse it, and it costs a lot of money to have it sent back and not get paid for your product. Yes, sir.
You don't have to bargain for something. How long do you hold on to it before you decide to send it to the landfill instead because it's not going to get bought?
I think that, the previous operator, I can't answer the question for them, but for us it would probably be less than a month of time from seeing the change of market to either determining that it unfortunately has to go to a landfill or finding a new market for it. So as you can see, we have our belt cleaning and everything. This pile is what's being stored as we speak. That's our commercial residential together. I would say bugs?
I could see the bugs just
Yeah, they have extra bugs and they have food, but it's not an environment to have little pile of what each person is doing. Oxnard reduces each year in waste. This is all, medical bags. A little bit of yard waste, a little bit of everything is in here. Our job here is to make this pile as small as possible. In the Environmental Resources Division, we don't just run this MRF. We have outreach and education that goes all the way into the homes to help people learn how to reduce, reuse, and recycle the 3 R's. And then whatever you have left gets separated so that when it does get to a facility, we can make the pile even smaller. So our goal and the benefit of having control of the waste all the way to the landfill, direct control, is that it gives you a lot more leverage to shrink this pile. So that's what we're here for, and that is our ultimate mission.
Do you recycle clean styrofoam here?
The question I think was, do we recycle clean styrofoam? We might separate it if it's significant enough in our recyclable pile, but currently it's not one of our major products. But we'll be considering that with the new equipment. Yes, sir.
That pile, what do you think, what areas bring those, the trash like that? If it's being, they're being educated for 10 years and they're still doing it. Do they care for them to really separate the trash, or are they getting educated to see that they could be saving money on their trash bill or their utility bill? Because the thing is, the way it is, you see that the people that don't care.
Yeah, that's part of the problem, is getting people to understand and to care about it. And a lot of times we found through outreach and education, it's not that people don't care, they just don't know. I mean, most people think, their level of knowledge of the waste stream is that they put their container out on the curb, somebody comes by in a truck and picks it up and it goes in a hole somewhere. They don't understand the process. That's why we're doing this zero waste action plan, so that we can reach out to the entire community and help get the information out to let them know what we have available through our Environmental Resources Division and what we can do to reduce this pile. So it's a big mission, and it's exciting because there's a lot of changes coming in the technology and what we do. The next frontier in waste management is food waste. You'll hear more in the workshops inside, but in the not so distant future, the state is no longer going to allow organics to go into a landfill, which means that food, wood, paper, anything that can produce methane gas in a landfill will no longer be allowed to be put into a landfill. So we have to separate it out. We've started a pilot program on food waste. We have only 2 businesses in town that we're testing it on, and we're pulling out almost 8 tons a week. Almost 6 tons a week just from 2 businesses. One of them is Whole Foods, and they're giving us about 5.5 tons a week of food waste after they sell, after they donate. That's what's left over in a week from a grocery store. So imagine you multiply that among all the grocery stores. Hold on 1 second, there's a truck coming through, so please stay where you are. Okay, thank you. So you multiply that among all of the food producing industry in the city of Oxnard, that's a lot of tonnage. And the beauty of food waste, clean food waste, is that it's 100% recyclable, and it's recyclable twice. Actually, there's 3 ways to make money. You can make money picking it up, you can make money processing it into electricity, and then when you've gotten all the electricity out of it, you turn it to compost. So just think of the benefit that has versus going into a landfill right now, where it does, you know, a little bit of gas is extracted out of the landfill, but not very much of what it can actually produce. Yes, sir.
The city of Oxnard has the neighborhood cleanup program, and that allows neighborhoods to discard their stuff once a year. But in between that, I see a lot of what I call yonqueros coming around and pick up their more discards. Some of them are from out of town.
Yes.
That's a lot of revenue, in my opinion, going out of the city onto other cities. Is there any plan to expand the neighborhood cleanup to take advantage of those discards?
Absolutely, and what we're trying to do right now, the neighborhood cleanup program is beneficial for cleaning up a neighborhood, but it's quite cumbersome, and as he said, it only services the neighborhood once a year, and the way the program is set up, it only services a neighborhood that has an active neighborhood service council. When you pay your rates, you have the right to the same services as everybody else in the city. So we're going to adjust that system. We're in the beginning process of doing this, where instead of us getting all of our equipment and coming out to your neighborhood and shutting down streets and putting up barricades and interrupting your life, you've got to put the stuff in a truck anyway. You'll be able to come down here to Del Norte. Instead of once a year we come to your neighborhood, we'll provide you with 3 pickups coming down here. You already pay for it. That way the material comes here, and more of the opportunity to have, you know, the waste cleaned up in the neighborhood is provided through here, and we can get all the recyclables out of it. So it keeps the money here in town. So that's a very good point, and we are in the process of changing that, absolutely. Yes, sir.
You know, most of the people that I see that does the waste is the kids. I mean, you guys going to school to educate them, to tell them the difference of, you know, kind of take care of their earth for them, for their future. And I try to teach my grandkids to do it, but I guess they lazy and around. Once they see that this is their future, to take care of their future, you know. There's more educational programs in schools, people that could talk to the community. Because most of when I was tax collector, businesses and residents, they didn't care because they said, we're paying and they're hiking our prices all the time. But what's our benefit?
Well, our goal and the council's goal in taking over this MRF is to contain rates, to get more money back into the rate system so that we can make improvements and we don't have to raise your rates. He's right as well. The education is very important. We do send organizations out into the schools to do promotions, to do assemblies for the kids and help them with that. And we're going to expand that role as well. Right now, the recycling market is open to anybody who wants to help recycle. It doesn't have to be in the city. So sometimes we have facilities that aren't serviced by the city, so they're not paying rates into our system. But we want to make sure that we get the information out through this process and improve our process through building our outreach and education department. We've gotten the approval for the positions, building those positions out so that they can send out more information into the schools and into the public, and again, reduce this mile. I found that the younger the kids are, the better they do to recycle. They get older in junior high and high school, and it's kind of, they're too cool to do it. So I know what you're saying. I used to work in a school as well, but you get them young, and you just make it second nature. and it's not such a big deal when they become homeowners.